What's up everyone, I'm Thanos, and today we're gonna travel back in time to an era where the accomplishments of mankind would change the world forever. The greatest scientific minds and the biggest industrial achievements took place in this era and transformed the world forever. The race for humanity's mastermind has just begun. The second half of the 19th century, the Age of Inventors, is upon us. So, let's dive into this box and see what's hiding inside. The Age of Inventors is a board game for 1 to 4 players where each player chooses one of the 4 available labs: government, corporation, university, and innovator. Each lab has a unique ability, so this choice can be done at random or even by playing a mini knowledge game. Draw a random invention and each player tries to guess the year that it was invented. The player with the most accurate response chooses the first lab. Each lab has 2 sides with different abilities and attributes in each side. Each player chooses their color and gets the player insert and the meeples of that color. Each player collects one of each scientific resource: physics, chemistry, and engineering, one idea, and sets the funds dial to 5. Each player draws 2 inventor cards and chooses one of those to keep. Then the player draws 4 invention tiles and keeps 2 of them in their hand. Finally, each player collects any additional resources indicated on their lab and the player setup is complete. Set the round counter to 1. Each player places their ingenuity meeple on their ingenuity position as shown in the top of your lab's banner. Place the experiment and equipment tokens on the respective positions on the board. Populate the equipment offer by placing equipment in the offer starting from the position with number 0. Shuffle the breaking news cards and place them face down at the left of the board. Shuffle the invention tiles and place them at the bottom of the board. Then populate the invention offer starting with position 1, then 2, and finally 3. Shuffle the inventor cards and place the top 3 inventor cards in positions with funds 2, 4, and 6. Lastly, players take the inventor hex that corresponds to the inventor they chose during the player setup. And that concludes all the setup you need to start playing. The game is played in rounds. Each round has 2 phases, the upkeep and the player phase. The upkeep phase consists of 7 phases which are listed in the upkeep side of your reference card. In the first step, collect your initiative tokens and collect back the lab assistants you used in the previous round. Reset your switches so they are all in the off position. Also reset any inventors you triggered last turn so that they are placed horizontally under your lab. Move the clock to the next round. These steps are done simultaneously by all players. Now, draw a breaking news card. This card represents some important events that happened at that time. It has 2 effects, and each player will need to vote on which of the 2 will take place this round. Then each player earns funds depending on their ingenuity position. After that, players take an equipment token, starting from the player with the highest ingenuity. Place your marker on the equipment that you bought. Place the equipment in a slot on your lab and gain bonus shown in that slot. Finally, activate all of your lab equipment. And this concludes the upkeep phase. Turn your reference card on the other side because the player phase begins. Players take turns by taking 2 possible actions. They can either place a lab assistant or use a switch. Every player has a lab assistant of their color. You can place that assistant in many locations and no other player can use that location for the rest of the round. The first possible location is on an equipment on your lab. Immediately gain the benefit of that equipment. Secondly, you can place them on a book base. Give the base owners the needed resources and gain the benefit from the supply. If it's your book base, just give the resources to the general supplies instead. Another place is the ingenuity track. Pay the cost and advance 1 space in the track by swapping places with the token already there. Another place is the experiment tokens area. Pay the resources shown there and get the top experiment token, which is kept secret from other players. Also, at the end of the game, any remaining resources can be spent there to gain some victory points. Use your resources wisely because they can make the difference between winning and losing. Finally is the refresh action. Pay 2 funds and replace all the inventions and all the inventors or both that are available in the respective areas on their board. After populating the offers, you can use 1 switch to get one of those after paying the cost, of course. The other choice you can do this turn is to use a switch, but when you do so, rotate it from the off to the on position. By using a switch, you can gain an inventor card or inventor hex from the respective offers. If it's an inventor, then you also get their hex and keep it face up in your lab. If it's an invention, keep it concealed in your hand. You can also use a switch to place an inventor or invention you already own. If it's an inventor, pay 1 of the inventor's scientific resources to the common supply. Place their hex in the grid so that they are not adjacent to any other inventor and place one of your book bases on top of it. Any player can now place their lab assistant to use their ability. After placing a book base, you gain the idea shown in the hex. You also get their card and place it at the bottom of your lab. You can only have 3 of those, but you can discard one of them for a new one without discarding the hex from the grid. If it's an invention, you have to pay the cost shown and place it in the grid next to an inventor whose sides have the same color. You immediately activate the invention's ability and increase your rank in one of the 3 tracks: the industrial, the economic, and the academic. These tracks reward you points and resources as you climb in each one of them. They also reward the first player in each track with their respective medallions. Each medallion allows a player owning it to place inventions with a benefit. So focus on climbing to the top in at least one track. It might be crucial at the end of the game. When an inventor is surrounded by tiles, then this inventor is considered retired. The player removes their book base and their card from the lab. Each player has additionally 2 free actions that they can do. They can exchange some resources with others based on the conversion rate shown in the board, and they can use an inventor ability shown in the cards at the bottom of the lab. Rotate the card in the vertical position to indicate that this ability has been used. It will reset in the next upkeep phase. Players keep taking turns. The game ends if either the 4th round is completed or if the last empty hex in the grid is covered by a tile. Players count the victory points, and the player with the most points wins the game. Well, this was the story of Age of Inventors. Until next time, take care and remember, necessity is the mother of invention.